So 6 months after the release of the ZV-E10 Mark II, we've had time for the hype to die down, and plenty of time to test it. So is it worth picking up in 2025? Let's find out. So if you're after a quick answer, then yes. Let's be clear, it is a fantastic camera. But after months of use, there are some real considerations to take before making a final purchase decision. So I picked up the ZV-E10 Mark II at launch back in August. And for the last 6 months, I've been using it as my main camera for photography and YouTube. In fact, I'm using it to record this whole video. And all the example photos and videos, of course, are also from this camera. So let's look at the performance and image quality. The Mark II bought long-awaited sensor upgrades, a 26 megapixel BSI CMOS sensor. In simple terms, it means it's capable of 4K video at up to 60 frames per second and full HD at 120 frames per second. Excellent, something we've all been asking for ages. In my testing over the last 6 months, the image quality has continued to impress, especially in well-lit conditions. The improved 10-bit colour and S-Log support makes grading footage much easier, and having S-Cinetone out of the box is a nice bonus. Autofocus, with its 759 autofocus phase detection points, means it's a standout feature. The autofocus is really nice and fast and accurate and also reliable, whether that's for photography or video. It also has face, eye and animal recognition as part of its autofocus system. Of course, this autofocus isn't as fast as Sony's flagship full-frame cameras, but it's still very good and all something that you're taking into consideration with the price. Now onto the image quality. I've found the image quality for photos and videos to be very good, and for videos especially a step up compared to the Mark I. The extra 10-bit video depth is excellent, though on the top setting the file sizes are huge, so make sure you've got the right memory card for the job. For photography, this camera, like the Mark I, is underrated due to its lack of on-body controls and no electronic viewfinder. But if you just need a portable camera, then the image quality for photography is incredibly sharp, especially paired with a quality lens. So definitely don't overlook this camera for a photography camera. Now let's talk about battery life and usability. The move to the larger MP-FZ100 battery has been a game changer, compared to the smaller MP-FW50 which was used in the older model. The battery life now is significantly better, and I can get through longer shoots without constantly worrying about having to swap the batteries. It's slightly annoying that the batteries now aren't compatible with the old camera, so that's a shame if you had any spares, but the battery life is better. Sony's new menu system is also a major upgrade over the first ZV-E10, and after getting used to it, it feels much more intuitive, even if it's a little confusing to start with. The touchscreen functionality is useful, especially for making quick adjustments while shooting, and one small but definitely appreciated change is the side-mounted memory card slot, rather than it being on the underside of the camera. So I can confidently say after 6 months, I am pretty happy with the ZV-E10 Mark II. I think the list of improvements are small but significant. Now let's talk about stabilization. Now this is one of the biggest drawbacks of the ZV-E10 Mark II, is that unfortunately there is still no IBIS, which is in-body stabilization. So if you mainly shoot video, especially handheld, like vlogging, you'll still need to rely on lenses with optical steady shot or use the built-in active stabilization to help stabilize your shot. Both of these options come with downsides: OSS lenses being more expensive and active stabilization, which will crop in the size of your image slightly. This built-in stabilization is much better than the Mark I performance, which had horrible wobbly video. But comparing the Mark II to, say, the A6700, which had IBIS, yes, it cost $500 more, the lack of stabilization in the Mark II still feels like a bit of a miss. Of course, you could also pair it with a gimbal, but all of a sudden you're making your little portable camera massive if you start introducing a gimbal into your setup. So what are the long-term positives of this camera? The battery life has remained strong and reliable. The autofocus is still excellent, making it easy to get sharp shots quickly, and the improved menu system makes navigation and settings adjustments much smoother. The upgraded sensor and 10-bit colour gives noticeable boost to video quality. But what about some of the negatives? Like I just said, no IBIS, the stabilization remains a challenge without extra solutions, And the rolling shutter, which is the wobbliness of the video I was talking about before, is much improved from the Mark 1, but is still noticeable in fast movements. A real miss, I would say, on that one. So that's a quick roundup of how it's felt to use over the last 6 months. And I still think the Mark II is a great camera, especially for video content creators. But the price tag of $1,000 or $1,100 with the kit lens means that it's not an impulse buy. It does offer solid value if you need a reliable, high-quality APS-C camera, but it's not an insta-buy, especially if you already have a previous model. So would I still recommend it in 2025? Well, of course, if you're upgrading from a much older model like the Sony a5100 or a6000, then absolutely. However, if you're coming from something more like say the a6400 or the Mark 1 of the ZV-E10, then you might want to think about whether the improvements justify the upgrade. They probably don't for most users. Now, as for the kit lens, which can come with this camera, which is the Mark II of the 16 to 50mm kit lens, after months of testing, my recommendation of this lens is really only get it if you have no other APS-C lenses. If you still have the original Mark 1 kit lens, for example, then the Mark II provides no real improvements worth shouting about. And if you already have a better lens like, say, the Sigma 18 to 50mm, then certainly you can skip the Mark II kit lens. There's nothing in there for most users. So overall, the ZV-E10 Mark II remains a strong option in early 2025. I'm not sure it's hit the popularity of the Mark 1, but that's probably because of the price difference. If you pair the Mark II with a good quality fast lens, then it is a fantastic tool for video creation.